Okay, so today let's talk about function arguments. Right, so jumping in here, we can see functions can take arguments which can be used to generate function output. All right, so I'm going to go to my Sublime Text and show you something. All right, so in our previous lesson, we created this function and we said we can use it by calling it, by writing the name followed by the parentheses. So if I save and run this, you will see whatever is inside that function is executed. However, this is kind of rigid, okay? Because each time we call this function, it's just going to print the same statement, right? So we can customize this function. So how do we customize this function? We can allow this function to accept what we call arguments. So the arguments are going to be passed into these parentheses. So each time we call the function, we're going to pass information into it, which is kind of like input, and then it's going to be processed, and then we'll get an output. So how do we achieve that? All right, so when we are creating our function up here, this is our function definition. What we have to do, we have to put in a placeholder. That placeholder, we call it a parameter. So let's say maybe I want to pass my name each time I call this function. So I'll create a variable here called name. This is kind of descriptive. So then how do we use this name? We have to pass it into the statement of this function. All right, so now I can say name over here. So I'm using the same name and name here so that it's going to be executed by the function. Okay, so it doesn't make any sense to pass in something here and then you don't use it into the function. So you have to pass it in here and then try to use it inside your statements that are going to be executed. All right, so right now, if I try and call this function now, it's going to give me an error. Let's try it out. Save and run. You see down here it says type error, self-intro missing one required positional argument. All right, so like I said, when we are defining a function, whatever we put here, the variable that we put here, we call it a parameter. However, when we are using the function, calling the function, whatever we are going to pass in here, that's what we call arguments. All right, so for now, let me put my name inside here because we are going to put a name each time we call this function. Now I'm going to say Satson. If I save and run this, now we don't have any issue. Now it says my name is Satson. So you guys can actually see my name is, and then this statement name has been replaced by this Satson, this string Satson that I passed in here. So what I passed in here, the real value that I passed is an argument. The placeholder, this is a placeholder, is what we call a parameter. I hope this is quite clear. All right, so let's go back and try and answer the question that follows, obviously. We have a function over here. It says, what's the result of this code? So we have def, which is the way we define the keyword that we use to define a function, and then we name the function print double. Print double means you are doubling something. So here we have a parameter x passed into the parentheses, and then down here the parameter has been used inside the function statements, right? So print 2 multiplied by x. So whatever we pass here is going to be multiplied by 2. The number that has been passed in here is 3, so 3 by 2 we get a 6. If we check it out, that will be the correct answer. Even better, you can define functions with more than one argument, and then you have to separate them with commas. All right, so if I'm to go back now, so instead of passing in just one argument, because we might want to say something here and something here. All right, for now, I'm going to take away this line here. I'm going to remove this line so that, life become easier for us, so that I can only pass in 2 parameters. So if I save and run this, it's still behaving the same, only that, we no longer have that third statement. All right, so my favorite color is maybe here, separated by a comma, we can say color here. So somebody has to pass in a color, and in front of this one, I can put a comma and say color here. All right, so whatever I put here is what I'm supposed to put here. If I put colors here and try and put color here, it's going to run into an error. So you have to put the exact spelling. All right, so now we have a color. If I try now to run this function down here, because I'm calling this function, it says missing one required positional argument, color. it recognizes now you're supposed to pass in 2 arguments. All right, so my favorite color is, let me say, red here. So I can now run this. You can see it says, my name is Satson, my favorite color is red. And so, you can pass in even more arguments in here, depending on, what you're trying to achieve. All right, so this is about function arguments. All right, so let me continue and try and answer this. Fill in the blanks to define a function that takes 2 arguments and prints their multiplication. So we use the def keyword like this, def, and then here we begin the block of code with a colon, and then we want to multiply these 2, x and y. So it's x multiplied by y. And so if you check it out, you'll see this is the correct answer. All right, so I want to thank you for your time. In our next video, we're going to talk about the return keyword. Returning something from a function. All right, so see you in our next lesson. For now, I'm out. Bye-bye.